Hey guys, Mrs. Gore here. So I'm going to go through chapter 2 of Night with You. Chapter 2 is nice and short, but it's incredibly important. In chapter 2, when we open up, Ellie, along with his family, are on the cattle cars and they are being transported. They do not know where they're going. They don't know why. They don't know for how long. That alone is enough to drive a person mad, but they're in cattle cars. And they're on top of each other. There's no airflow. They have no food, no water. They are being treated literally like cattle. And have all this questioning happening out loud and in their head about what's happening, why is it happening, where are we going, why are we going there, what's going to happen next. So tensions are high. The environment is not a positive one. We get our first example here of the Jewish community and the Jewish people turning on one another. So often when we talk about the Holocaust, we're talking about the Jewish people versus the Nazi Party. But one of the things that Knight does a really good job at pointing out is that you also have Jews against Jews, especially once you get into the concentration camps, and it's how Hitler was able to be so successful. You turn your own people against one another. It's one of the most successful methods of any dictator or cruel leader. So we see Mrs. Schiffbaumeister, who is on Mrs. Schauster, who is on the cattle cars, and she's screaming the entire time. She's screaming out about smoke and flames, and nobody knows why. She has her young son with her, who's sitting next to him, and he's trying to console her and quiet her down, and everyone on the cattle car is getting upset. They're yelling at her, telling her to shut up, and eventually they begin to abuse her. They hit her. They're kicking her because they can't handle the screaming anymore. And it's awful. It's heartbreaking. Her son's sitting next to her just crying, silent, unbeknownst what to do. And like I said, this is our first example for Ellie of direct violence. So keep your eyes on that, how we see the Jewish people and any prisoners of the camp. They're all in the same position, but keep your eye on how they turn against one another and how they tend to rank one another as well, because that's a huge part of the Holocaust. And it's one of the main reasons that Hitler was able to be successful, is the way he ran the camps and the way he gave certain prisoners more resources and power than others, because it allowed him to keep this power dynamic so they didn't unite against the Nazi Party. All right. So the cattle cars come to a stop shortly after. We see Mrs. Schauster being beat. She's quiet after that, and they pull up, and all they see is a sign that says Auschwitz. And we have this heartbreaking moment of irony, because we all know what Auschwitz is, but Ellie and all of the other prisoners don't. And this line breaks my heart every time. Ellie says, we stopped, we looked at each other, and we gave thanks to God, because they think this is it. We're safe, we're secure, everything's going to be okay, and that's not true. Eventually the cattle cars move again, and this is when Mrs. Schauster's reality really comes to view. They see the flames and the smoke in the sky. They know it's not good. He says he smells burning flesh, and we know that they've now arrived at Birkenau. And that is where chapter 2 ends. If you guys have any questions over chapter 2, let me know. I know it's short, but just know the language and the feelings are really important, because now we see Ellie go through a stressful situation. We see him exposed to violence. We see the Jewish people turn on one another and turn on a woman at that. So even though it's short, this is a really important chapter. If you guys have questions, let me know. I'll see you for chapter 3.